What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Everything Horror Podcast. Tonight, we are talking about the 1987 movie, The Monster Squad. I forgot what did I say? This is like the 30th anniversary,
30,
35th.
35th
35th
anniversary of 1987's Fred Decker's The Monster Squad. I'll be your host for the evening. I'm Dustin Walker. Some people might know me as Cannibal Kiddo. We are joined here with the hosts, Tessa Baker and Paul Dolsky. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? And
Back
German.
to talk about the classic, the cult classic, pitting the Goonies versus the Universal monsters. But how do we start this off? So let's start off with Fred Decker and Shane Black. I think Shane Black, right?
Yes.
So Fred Decker made Night of the Creeps first, and Shane Black did Predator, I think, first, or he was in Predator anyway. Before they came together for the Monster Squad. One of my favorite genres of movies, I mentioned it before, is the kids on bikes genre. The Goonies, the Explorers, Stand By Me, and of course the Monster Squad. But so how does the movie? Well, first let's start off. How did you guys first discover the Monster Squad? We'll start with Tessa.
Well, I came across Monster Squad when I was younger. It was like one of those movies that I watched when I was a kid, kind of like how I also watched the original, The Blob. So it was like one of those things that I came across when I was a kid, and I just thought it was really cool, and I liked the idea of it, and I was like in my glory watching this movie as a kid and sitting here, tonight with Paul and revisiting it, 35 years after it was made. It was just nostalgic.
What about you, Paul?
So I discovered it back in the old days when there used to be a Blockbuster in my town, and I still have my Blockbuster card to this day too.
Me too.
So I would go every Friday night and Saturday because I would never keep movies for the whole goddamn weekend. I would have to return them the next day just to get more. But anyway, the point to this is that's where I found it, and I think it was the cover art that really got my attention, and we're just like, oh, the Monster Squad, and kind of like what Dustin was saying at the beginning. It's like the Goonies versus the Universal monsters, basically. So
it really is. That's a great reference.
And yeah, exactly. And like, when you sit down and actually watch it, I don't know, you just appreciate it. You just appreciate everything about it, from the visual effects to the acting to the writing, really, because for Shane Black and Fred Derrick, their writing at that time was very well. But then we got like 2018, where Shane Black and Fred Derrick come back to write The Predator, which is just complete hot garbage. So, I mean, I guess there were some things about The Predator I didn't mind, but that's another podcast. We're talking about the Monster Squad. But anyway, it's really interesting to go back 35 years later and rewatch this, like Tessa said. So I guess, and tie it up with a little bow, Blockbuster was basically where I discovered the Monster Squad.
So yeah, that was very similar to what how I first discovered it. I had two older brothers, and they used to watch it all the time. And me and my friends, we would always rent horror movies from Blockbuster every Friday and Saturday. And my older brothers mentioned Monster Squad to me, and I just fell in love with the movie. I mean, it was just like me and my friends. We pretend to go out and catch monsters and stuff, and I used to love the old Universal monsters. Paul's holding up a killer clown. So I don't know what that was, but yeah. But yeah. Uh, so yeah, I fell in love with this movie when I was a kid. I thought Rudy was the coolest. Is that a soundtrack?
You got it.
The Chiodos. But
That's right.
yeah. So Monster Squad. So let's just get into the movie. Like so it starts off Van Helsing is trying to open a portal that's going to destroy evil. Is that what it was? It's supposed to suck up Dracula, and
Yeah.
the opening crawl it's going into everything they're doing, and it ends with they blew it. Not dating the movie at all.
Right. The black hole sucks up everything. Everything that's supposed to be evil. It's supposed to get sucked up in the vortex, black hole, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but somehow they blow it. I guess I don't know if they really explain how they blew it.
The good guys got sucked up into limbo, not the bad guys. Van Helsing, the girl that was doing the chanting, and like some other members of the group got sucked into limbo instead of Dracula.
So, what'd you guys think of this Dracula? Since he's the first monster we come across. Well, besides the, I think there's female vampires at the beginning of
Yep,
it, but
brides.
Dracula's like the main first one we see. What'd you guys think of him?
As far as like the aesthetics for his character, I thought that they did a good job with him. Like they gave him like, you know, the classic iconic cape and like black and red cape and, you know, formal dress attire, slicked back hair, you know, the whole like, you know, Dracula jewelry, the fancy Wolfman cane type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, aesthetically, he was well done.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it set the tone for the movie. We're not gonna take it too seriously. It's gonna be cheesy, but that's part of the charm of this movie, I think.
That's the charm for most like 1980s horror films.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
So then we flash forward after they blow it. Van Helsing blows it, and we flash forward to the '80s where we meet our first two members of the Monster Squad who are getting in trouble in school and explaining that they just love monster movies. And
yeah, Sean and Patrick, I believe.
Patrick, yeah, I think that's his name.
Sean.
Patrick.
Yep, Sean and Patrick.
Yep. And so they're starting, or they have a club where they hang out and just watch movies. And then we're introduced to Horace, who's getting bullied by the brother from The Wonder Years, another movie show I used to love as a kid.
EJ.
EJ, yeah, and EJ's an asshole. And then
Major asshole.
And then Rudy comes in, who for me, as a kid, two of the coolest people I could think of was Rudy and Fred Savage. I just thought those two were the coolest people. Who Fred Savage was also in The Wonder Years. So, but what'd you guys think of our cast of? I think we're missing one, the little kid with the Confederate hat. But what'd you guys think of the Monster Squad, like the actual group?
Bunch of nerdy kids, I would say. I mean, they definitely were trying to get the monster war because when they were in their little treehouse discussing ways of killing monsters, it was just like, you know, they were trying to say left and right, like, oh, you kill them with this, you kill them with that. Well, what's the second way of killing them? Oh, like, I thought it was funny when Ruby was trying to say you kill a werewolf by silver bullets, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And
well,
then
what's the second way?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It comes back at the end of the movie.
It does. It does. So I would say they're just a bunch of nerdy monster horror lovers, really, that just are fascinated by everything like we are. You know, they're fans of the old monsters too.
What what was the main kid's name? Was it Sean?
Yes. Sean
So,
was the leader.
so this last time I was watching the movie, I think it was in Sean's room. I'm pretty sure. I noticed he had a Lucio Fulci zombie poster in the background. I was like, who the hell was watching that movie in the '80s? Like, what American kid was watching that movie in the '80s? Italian horror movie. I thought that was pretty cool because I love that movie, but yeah, I didn't know that movie was so popular back then.
Well, that's like the old school Burger King near the end. You
Yeah,
know,
I've seen that too.
like,
Yeah,
like oh my god, like that is so old.
nostalgia overload.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So what happened next?
They find that book basically.
Sean's mother finds Van Helsing's journal at the estate,
Yes, for
and
selling the house. Yep.
and she brought it home for Sean because she's like, this is like right up your alley, you know.
Van
Oh yeah, yeah.
Helsing. Yeah.
Everything's in German.
Yep.
Everything's in German, gotta get it translated by the scary German guy. Everybody
Oh,
thinks he's a monster.
one thing I forgot was I don't remember when it was introduced, but Sean's dad is sheriff or detective or something like that.
Yeah.
And so we go to the police station and we meet the werewolf.
Lock me up.
Yeah, yeah.
John
Great scene.
John Grease.
Yeah, that guy pops up in movies every once in a while. I guess the one that most people remember him from was Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh,
But he was also
Jesus.
the sheriff in the movie The Sasquatch Gang, which was kind of a Napoleon Dynamite ripoff, but I like that movie too. But every once in a while, that guy pops up, and I always say, "That's the Wolfman from Monster Squad."
That's right.
But yeah, I love the Wolfman in this movie.
Yeah, they're all unique in their own way. Even the Frankenstein, which I think is played by Tom.
Who was it?
Let me see.
Tom Noonan plays Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein, right?
Yeah, like even that sort of Frankenstein costume,
Worked
sort
well.
of. Yeah, it reminds me of like the black and white like Frankenstein. Maybe when like Bela Lugosi played as him, I would say.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, well, let's talk about the monsters here. So we have Dracula, Wolfman, the Gill Man, I think is what he's called in this one. Frankenstein, the Mummy. Did you guys have a favorite of them?
It's probably gonna sound cliche of me because I like the character design and look for the Wolfman, but they're all pretty neat in their own ways. Like, I actually liked them all. I even like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, one thing I
Yeah.
was looking at this last viewing was how small the Mummy was compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
Did anybody even play the Mummy, or was that just like some sort of visual effect? But I'm wondering if that was actually the only visual effect.
I think that's like the only one that was a visual effect because I don't see him.
Right. Yeah, I would, because when we did get to the scene with, or at least the credits, when the credits were rolling, it did say that the visual effects was shot on a 65 millimeter film, which that is very hard to shoot on. So props for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all the monsters I thought looked great. Like I said, looking back on it, it was a little cheesy. By today's standards, I guess, but that's part of the charm of it. I mean, and some of them they do kind of look like Halloween costumes that you would get from like a Spirits or something like that. But I thought the Wolfman was great. He was always my favorite growing up. Creature from the Black Lagoon was one of my favorite Universal monsters. So to see the Gill Man pop in this one, I thought he looked great. Was there any like monsters you guys would have liked to have seen that they didn't show? Invisible Man would have been great to show up.
Yeah, I could see the Invisible Man. That would have to definitely be another uh, visual effect, I believe. So maybe, honestly, I think they really picked the best monsters for this anyway.
Yeah, the best monster lineup.
Yeah, I can't really think of what other one I would want to see besides, I guess, the Invisible Man. Cause yeah, that would be interesting. But otherwise, I'm not really complaining of what I did see.
So getting back to the movie with the story anyway. So he has the book and they start to figure out that there's monsters in the town, right? He overhears that there's a werewolf at the police station or something.
Yeah.
Then Dracula gets Frankenstein. That's when we go to the actual airplane where he actually gets Frankenstein off the airplane and it drops into the lagoon or whatever it is. But
Yeah,
then,
that's because the pilot or whatever the hell he was trying to put he was trying to open up the bottom of the plane so that way
right,
he could dump Dracula too, because he was like haha, you know, and then Dracula right there like at a little comedy moment there was just floating in the air like haha, nice
yeah,
try
just hovering.
sucker. Yeah, just like nice try sucker.
Yeah, which they got off light considering throughout the rest of the movie, Dracula's just chunking dynamite at people like it's candy.
Mhm.
He did nothing to them. He just bounced out as soon as they opened up the plane.
Yeah, let's just do it anyway. I feel like.
Yeah, and
Um,
What was it?
Sean had gotten the idea that Dracula was present in the world because of the message that his mom had written on the dry eraser board about an Alucard calling from school inquiring about Van Helsing's journal. And he kind of rearranged the letters and spelled out Dracula.
Right.
Because Alucard spelled backward. Or that's Alucard
Dracula
spelled
spelled.
backwards.
Right. Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did they ever explain how Dracula knew about how Sean had the book? I mean, did that just come out of nowhere?
I think it just came out of nowhere because he just knew, like, Dracula just knew that Van Helsing's journal was gone.
Maybe he
I
could
don't
sense
know.
it. I'm not. Yeah.
I would think maybe he could sense it because he could also sense where the amulet was.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the like the main point for Dracula. They're trying to get this amulet so that evil can rule or something. I think it's stated by the creepy German guy or scary German guy, whatever his name is.
Scary German guy, yeah.
Every 100 years, the amulet can be destroyed, and evil will rule or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's Sean and the rest of the Monster Squad decide that no one's going to believe them in town. It's up to them to stop the monsters from ruling the night. So they all squad up, and we get our 80s montage of kids on bikes getting their weapons together and going after the monsters.
That's right. That's right. And for the record, since we're going into the squad for a minute, I'll just say I applaud Ruby's character. Yeah, Ruby's character played by Ryan Lambert. Uh, I like the fact that when Horace was getting picked on at school because he was eating a Snickers, that he basically made that bully who stomped on it basically eat it. Like, take that, sucker.
Yeah, you dropped your candy bar.
Yeah.
It's not mine. It's
EJ.
Horace. It is yours now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
EJ the
EJ.
asshole.
Yeah, EJ.
Yeah, yeah, I used to love that part as a kid. Like I
Oh
said, I
yeah.
thought Rudy was just the coolest. I thought when I grew up, I was going to be wearing leather jackets and
I was gonna
uh,
smoke like
high
around
water
kids like
jeans.
that.
Yeah, I'm going to be smoking. He was in junior high. He's so much cooler than everybody else.
Yeah. And since you mentioned Dustin, that now we get the the montage scene where basically or the nostalgia scene of everybody trying to get their weapons together. So can we talk about how the hell did Rudy get like all this shit into the school without being caught to even make the silver bullets out of
Making bullets. Yeah,
The
making
freaking
bullets
silver bullet mold.
the
and
80s was
like
different, man.
yeah, and like the wooden stakes. Like, oh here, see, look at this nice birdhouse or whatever the hell it was that he was showing the teacher.
Right?
Box. Freaking
Yeah,
box he made.
He goes and
yeah,
steals the
Check.
arrows.
Yeah,
yep, yeah, the
check out
stake.
this shoe box with a hole in it. Isn't this cool?
Yeah, I think this is cool. It came out the way I wanted it. Oh, now you're gone. Let me start sharpening the stakes.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
a thing about 80s movies, right? I mean, how many family movie? I guess this was considered a family movie back then, but how many family movies do you see nowadays where kids are just running around with shotguns and pistols and going to war with the creatures of the night?
besides Supernatural, um,
Does
uh,
this predate the PG-13, or did they have PG-13 yet in this when this movie came out?
oh, there had to have been PG-13.
Because I know a lot of these PGs was like hard PGs back in the 80s. I don't remember when the PG-13 actually came out.
For like horror wise.
For anything, I can't even remember. I think Steven Spielberg might have came out with the PG-13.
Well, Universal Monsters were all PG-13, so there was no rated R about the Universal Monsters.
Right.
It
So
says certificate PG-13.
yeah,
Okay, so this one just made the cut. We
just
get plenty of
barely.
shits and assholes, and we don't get any full frontal nudity or anything, but they rode the line.
They wrote it just in time, baby.
Yeah, and they actually went over why it's PG-13. There's actually stuff written down on it for why it's rated PG-13.
You want to share
Like
some?
for example, sex and nudity. In the scene with the kids in the treehouse, Rudy is shown peeping at a girl with binoculars. The teenage girl is clearly seen in her bra and underwear for several seconds. It's meant to be provocative. So, profanity. One use of fuck, doofus, oh god, stupid, shut up, god, my god, whore, spaz, oh my god, and two uses of wuss and bitch paired with son of a, three uses of hell and Jesus Christ, four uses of fag, six
Yep.
uses of damn, three paired with God, five uses of virgin and ass paired with three whole, and 12 uses of shit paired with one chicken shit.
Chicken
Hey
shit.
guys, don't be such chicken shit.
Chicken shit.
Some rude, suggestive comments made by kids, and quite a lot of swearing profanities like shit, damn, hell, bitch, both made by and directed towards children. Kid refers to a woman as Skags. Two teenage boys refer to another character as a faggot twice. The regular kids talk about someone being a homo. A kid calls his friend butt love. And they use the term feed several times. They shout, kick him in the nards several times. Again, not profanity, but the kid Horace is often referred to as the fat kid and teased about his weight.
Yep.
And then, of course, Phoebe's character says, don't be a chicken shit.
Yep.
It sounds
So,
like an R-rated movie by today's standards.
so for the
Exactly.
alcohol, drugs, and smoking, it's rated as mild. The oldest member of the group, Rudy, smokes cigarettes in some cases, and one of the dads smoke.
Yeah, Deshaun's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Which,
that's why it's pretty much rated PG-13.
which nowadays, so going back to this, uh, you know, from looking at it from back in the day to now, especially with the word faggot. Like, how do you guys feel about that word nowadays? Like in movies, like, do you feel like, oh damn, like we were just really stupid with our ways of talking back then to what it sort of means now, Um, after hearing that a couple times again, like rewatching it, it was just kind of like, damn, maybe we've improved a lot within the last 35 years of how we talk and bully and everything, just a little bit. But like, when you say that word now, it's like now you can take it offensively, and I don't know. I'm just curious about what you guys' thoughts are on the word of that.
Well, like for me, it's definitely a word that I used a lot as a kid, referring to like friends and family members, and
Right.
uh, but it is a word that now when I hear it in like movies or something like that, it's shocking. It's something you don't hear too often anymore, and we've kind of moved past that as a society.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the last thing I really can remember hearing it in was probably something like South Park,
Mm. South Park. Oh,
where they
geez.
rewrote the definition of the word.
Yep. And pretty soon we're gonna be rewriting a lot more definitions of words. I feel like, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's how society evolves, I guess.
Uh huh.
Monster
Yep.
Squad. I have the Monster Squad. Tessa's holding up the Monster Squad. That was at the DVD, or
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
supposed to be.
it's the 20th. It's the 2 discs, 20th anniversary edition.
I'm pretty sure that's the same one I had, but I could not find it anywhere because I was trying to find it for the commentary. I didn't know if it had it on there,
Yes,
but
this is my
I looked everywhere
copy.
for it. I couldn't find it. That's the same one. I'm pretty sure I had. Did you guys get to listen to the commentary on there?
I think we listened to it like before, but not like tonight. But I
Uh,
think
I don't remember it honestly. If we did, I definitely don't remember the commentary.
it's been a couple of years, babe.
yeah.
Obviously, I mean
So
when
so
I
where
saw
we leave off
Dustin's
on the
little
movie?
message, well, when Dustin first announced about like possibly doing this episode, it's like holy shit, that's a movie name I haven't heard in a couple of years. So, because I
I
want to
also
what?
I was just gonna say I also have the soundtrack on vinyl. It was actually a gift from Paul.
Uh,
That's right.
it's got that. The only one I can remember is the ending theme song, which I cannot remember any of the lyrics from it, but it's like a Monster Squad rap or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, where they're talking about like they're Dracula and Frankenstein. You need stakes and this and that. Yeah, that's I think just called the Monster Squad.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
one of
that's
my
what
favorite
it is.
lines. We the Monster Squad.
That's
So
always
where
everybody's
did we leave
favorite.
off on the movie? The amulet.
Basically, the book was found from the estate. The mother gave it to Sean because that's where he is. And
Sean puts two and two together that there are monsters in the world and they need to get this book read by somebody who understands German. So they go
and
into
that is a
the
virgin.
Right. That's what.
yeah.
Yeah, we had to get the Virgin to read it.
Yep.
So that's when Rudy and Patrick decide to blackmail Patrick's sister.
Correct.
with Frankenstein. I think took a picture of her while she was changing earlier in the movie.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, because Rudy was trying to uh, basically have the photo developed, and as he's looking through, he like kind of spits, like spits out a cigarette or something,
Right.
and he's like what the? And then yeah, and then the next thing we see Frankenstein holding up the picture while everybody else is trying to jump and grab the picture. Yep. So fun.
So then, what was it? I think it's Dracula shows up at Sean's house, blows up the clubhouse. How he knew where Sean lived and that they hung out in this clubhouse. Maybe he'd been watching them for weeks. Who knows? He shows up with his dynamite and has a showdown with Sean's dad, the sheriff or the detective, whoever he was. And they all meet up in Times Square.
Dev.
Yeah.
Dev was the detective.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a great detective. No, I'm a great police officer. That's what he kept saying. But yeah, we meet up in Times Square. The Monster Squad versus the monsters. So what'd you guys think of this final showdown?
Well, first off, we just mention real quick that before the final showdown, that Sean dad there, when he finally arrived back at the house to see Dracula after he exploded the kid's treehouse up and everything else. Also with the dynamite and threw it, and then basically exploded his partner inside of the vehicle, and kind of like, I'm gonna come and get your son.
Yeah, like Detective Sapir.
Yeah.
Went up in flames.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like those two just didn't want to ever take on any sort of case because his partner always complained like, "This is too hard. Maybe we should just do something else instead." It's like, wow, dude. Like, wow. Like, why are you a police officer then? This everything's so hard. I don't know. But anyway, for the final showdown for me, anyway, I thought that was pretty cool, especially when Eugene wrote the note to the army,
All
and yet
right.
the army show up wait at the scene and everything. Otherwise, I feel bad for Phoebe because she defriended Frankenstein, as Tessa uh, noticed in the film again too, as we were talking, sort of near the end. That it's like it's kind of sad that Frankenstein finally feels like he also has a friend, and he knows that he has to go into the vortex, the black hole thing, just because otherwise it's gonna just keep staying open until he is in there.
Right. He gets the whatever that is, the little stuffed animal she throws to him while he's going back.
Scrappy.
Scrap. Yeah, that was it. Scrap.
Yeah. Yep, scraps. So
what's your thought, babe?
So I did enjoy the final showdown. I especially like the fact when the frickin' three vampire brides show up and frickin' Rudy's they're like, "Where are you going?" And frickin' Ruby's like, "I'm in the frickin' group, aren't I? Like I need to go do something." So I liked the showdown as a whole. Like even with um Dracula trying to pull Sean into limbo, and then Sean gets a hold of a stake, stakes Dracula, and then you see Van Helsing taking freaking Dracula off into
Right, with the thumbs
limbo.
up.
Yep,
With the thumbs up, like, yeah, you did it, awesome.
100 years later, we finally did it.
So earlier we mentioned when they were testing Rudy to get into the club, they said, "How do you kill the Wolfman?" And he says, "Silver bullet." And they say, "That's not the only way," or something. He says, "So what's the second way?" right? So we get the answer to that when Sean's dad puts the dynamite in Wolfman's pants and pushes him out the window, and he explodes, and the Wolfman's body parts all just pull back together and reform.
That's right. Which makes no sense to me.
His clothes were magically sewed back together and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything was just magically just aesthetically perfect again, and no flaws whatsoever.
Yeah, and then when Rudy finally shoots him, he's like, "Thank you." Like that's finally.
There was
Like,
a
This is
show.
all I wanted.
There was a show back when I was a kid. I think it was called Wolfman on Campus or something like that. I cannot remember, but it was about a werewolf, and he's fighting another werewolf, and it was a kid show. It was a family show, but so they need a silver bullet to kill the other werewolf. They don't want to kill the other werewolf because they're friends. So at the end of the episode, it comes down to it where instead of shooting him in the chest, they shoot him in the leg, and that cures his werewolfism. Do you think
oh, you're
has anything like that ever happened in any other kind of movie? Is there a way to not kill the Wolfman but cure him by shooting him with the silver bullet?
are you talking about the TV series, by the way, called Big Wolf on Campus?
Probably. I'm sure that's it.
A teenager who becomes a werewolf after being bitten by one on a camping trip uses his new ability to protect his hometown from other supernatural entities.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
I remember
Yeah.
they had a gag on there, Muffy the Werewolf Slayer, I think it was.
Oh boy. It probably was. Do you remember anybody that was in it? Like Danny
I think it was a
Smith?
bunch of Canadians, so I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure Danny Smith, I think, was like one of the main actors. He looks like he might have been one of the main protagonists then. Yeah. But anyway, back to Monster Squad. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, there's so many different ways to go about that. I mean, if we're gonna just throw names real quick, we're also throwing maybe like Wolf Cop.
Wolf Cop, right? I don't think I've
Um,
sat through that whole movie before.
yeah, I don't know if I have either, to be honest. But did you guys know that the Monster Squad was actually nominated for 4 awards and only won 3 out of the 4?
Oh yeah, I thought you was about to say it was nominated for a Razzie for a second. That was about to blow my mind.
Oh man.
So what it win for?
Well, what?
I was just gonna say, did you know that the scene where Dracula lifts Phoebe up and she screams was done in one take? There was no reshoot for that.
Amazing.
So how'd they do that? Was somebody like holding her up, or she's standing on a stool?
Duncan Regner wouldn't wear his red contacts or fangs around the 5-year-old Ashley Bank because it scared her too much. For the scene, director Fred Decker just told Ashley to scream once the platform raised her. And when she asked when, Decker told her, "Oh, you'll know," and proceeded to shoot. The terrified scream you hear when Dracula opens his eyes is Ashley's genuine scream of fright.
That's a genuinely creepy scene. There's a handful of like creepy scenes in this that earlier in the movie where they're in the like mansion and the Wolfman first pops out around that corner and they go run down the hall. Then you have the 3 vampires down the hall moving. I remember watching that as a kid and actually being kind of freaked out by that.
Oh yeah, when Wolfman is coming down the hall, Dracula was coming down the hall, and then the Dracula 3 brides. Yeah.
Right. There's like a
Yeah.
handful of those scenes like that in this movie.
Also, another thing to mention, because you just mentioned the brides. So there's a section that you on here. It also says, "Did you know it's a goof?" Is when the 3 pantry girls have become vampires and they walk down the hallway towards the 3 of the Monster Squad boys, their reflections are visible in the mirror on the wall to the right of the screen. And they're not supposed to have reflections because they're supposed to be vampires.
Yeah, a creepy German guy mentioned that earlier in the movie that he wouldn't have a reflection if he was a vampire.
Exactly. And
Monster Squad breaking its own rules.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So, to go back to what Justin was asking was what did they win for? They won at the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films in the USA was the best DVD classic film release. They also won for Brussels International Festival of Fantasy Film. Uh, the winner was for something, but it had to deal with Fred Decker. So I'm assuming had something to do with the writing or being one of the the writer directors. I don't know. For some reason, actually, there's nothing here that said what that was for. So, but Fred Decker apparently won that. Um, also, they won the Young Artist Awards in 1988 for the outstanding young actors and actresses in symbol and television or motion picture. So all the kids basically got that reward for the Young Artist Award. Yeah.
So no Emmys or anything.
All right. So did anybody notice that at the start of the movie with the plane where Dracula first appears has Browning written on the side of it?
It has what?
Browning written on the side of it.
No, I don't think I noticed.
Yeah, I noticed that. I didn't think of it.
It's a nod to the director Todd Browning, who directed Dracula of 1931.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Bela Lugosi with Dracula.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah, I noticed it, and I guess that never clicked until now. You just said that. That's a really nice Easter egg.
That's sad too. Oh, actor Brett Shalin, who portrayed Horace, the fat kid, tragically died of pneumonia in 1997.
Wow, I did not even know that.
So he was 12 in the movie, so he was in his early 20s?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. 1997, died of pneumonia.
Wow. That's sad. A lot of sad things when it comes to like these older 80s films. Like look at Poltergeist actress. She died from something was going on with
virus, her. Right?
Yeah, she had some sort of weird virus, yeah.
And then the older sister was like strangled to death by her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, and then like the people that played the parents even had their own like weird mishaps. It's definitely weird.
Yeah.
That's why you can also learn about it all on Shudder Cursed Films, I bet.
Every time I try to watch Shudder anything, I get super lag problems and will not finish the movie. I think I've tried to watch Curse, that one you talked about a few times, but
yeah, Cursed Films.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one if you can get it to work. So that sucks that you're having issues with it.
So that's why they did it the way they did it for that. So due to licensing issues, the crew had to create characters that were suggestive but not exact copies of the Universal iconic monsters. The challenge was to suggest those classic creatures without really copying them. Explained Shane Mallon. Because we did not have the permission or the license to use those specific images, so we could do a gill man, for example, but it couldn't look too much like the creature from the Black Lagoon. So the Frankenstein monster looks a bit like Karloff creature, but instead of the bolts in the neck, he has bolts in his forehead.
All right, that's where he hooks the electrodes up at the beginning of it.
Yeah, with that cane that Dracula has, that makes Frankenstein come to life. I want one. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's not very handy.
yeah, it'd be cool. You could, instead of like a little clip-ons to electrodes or whatever, you have like USBs come out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Just point it up to the sky, especially with the weather that we've had lately, with all these random thunderstorms. Just point it up to the sky, make your car come back to life that way, or something.
Right.
It's alive.
So yeah, wrapping up the movie, we have the showdown with the Monster Squad versus the monsters. Horace takes on the Gill Man. Sean and his dad take on Wolfman. Frankenstein and Dracula, they go off into the portal. The mummy. It jumps on the back of the car and they wrap the bandage around a arrow, and Rudy shoots it into a tree, which answers the question: what happens when you unravel a mummy? And then the military shows up, and we get our closing rap song.
Not just that, but when they show up, they want to know who Eugene is.
Yeah.
Well, what happened here? Oh, we got this. Well, who are you? Reaches in his pocket, pulls out the Monster Squad business card that they basically did in school. We are the Monster Squad, yeah! And they're like high fiving, hugging each other. Like, what the hell is this? Like,
I would have
this is
loved a
amazing.
Saturday cartoon follow up to the Monster Squad, anything, but this was all we got.
Oh yeah. There's that other thing you mentioned, the Lucio
Lucio
Fulci.
Fulci's zombie.
Yeah. Yep. Is visible in the background of the clubhouse, but there was also a poster for the Return of the Living Dead, the
I didn't see that one.
1985 version, visible on the wall of the clubhouse.
Jeez, who watched these movies in the 80s? These movies didn't get popular until well into the 90s. I was trying to remember the little kid with the little dog. He had something on his wall, but I cannot. Oh, it was a Punisher, a poster of Punisher in the background of his room, which I thought was pretty dope. But yeah, that's the Monster Squad.
Would you still
It's a movie I
recommend this
loved growing
movie?
up, and it's a movie I still go back and revisit. I used to. I remember I was dating a girl in high school, and she had never heard of the Monster Squad, so of course I made her watch that, and she loved it. And years later, when I had my own daughter, I got her to watch the Monster Squad. Don't think she liked it that much. She probably doesn't even remember watching it, but everybody in my family has to watch the Monster Squad
Baby
at
steps.
least once.
Baby steps.
She did like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. She had her own Killer Clowns from Outer Space party when she was 5.
That's amazing.
That is incredible.
That is amazing. We're gonna definitely have to do a Killer Clown from Outer Space episode, because I just love that goddamn movie too.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I also like it as well.
Yeah, talking about Killer Clowns, me and a coworker were talking about Suzanne Snyder, and I used to say that I was telling him that everything she was in I loved, and I had like the biggest crush on her growing up.
Who
She was
didn't?
Weird Science, Killer Clowns, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. But then
Yep.
literally that night I go home and I find a Keanu Reeves movie that I'd never seen that had the aunt from Full House in it and Keanu Reeves. And Suzanne Snyder was in it. I was like, what the hell's the coincidence in that we're talking about Suzanne Snyder and I see a movie that night that I've never seen her in?
That's usually how it works, as far as I know.
Yeah, these
That's usually
devices
how
are
it works.
listening to us, I swear.
Stop listening to us.
Or more. I mean, give me some more Suzanne Snyder suggestions.
Just look her up on IMDb and look at what else she's in, I guess.
I like to be surprised, Paul.
Oh, well, then be surprised. Then. Be surprised. Yes, be surprised then, why don't we? So, I guess real quick, since I don't think what I said got heard. So, Dustin, since you kind of mentioned that you show everybody this film, so 35 years later, do you still think this film holds up to today?
For sure. Like, I still love this movie. There's parts of it that still like are genuinely creepy. I think uh, it's one of those movies that is a good gateway for like kids to get into horror movies. Like uh, this one, The Gate's another one that I think is great. Like horror movie that
Ah,
kids can watch.
yes, the Gate,
Yeah,
amazing movie.
Killer Clowns. Tessa mentioned The Blob earlier. The remake of The
Yes.
Blob I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite remakes. And that's another one I think is a great like gateway movie for kids to get into these like horror movies nowadays are different. They're more like I guess psychological. These older ones with the monsters I think were more fun. But
Yeah.
what about you, Tessa? Do you think this movie still holds up? And
Oh, hell yeah. Still holds up after 35 years. Full blown nostalgia right across the board. Like I'll never get sick of watching this movie.
I'll never get sick of watching it.
I
Yeah,
was
no,
thinking of what
yeah,
were you saying,
just real
Paul?
quick. I was just gonna say real quick. Yeah, I mean, I don't see myself ever really getting sick of this movie. It's one of those gems like Goonies. You know, we talked about. We're kind of saying like these kids kind of remind us of Goonies. Well, it's true. It's definitely true. It's got that vibe so much. And then Universal Monsters. I mean, I'm sorry. Like as we were kind of talking about the license stuff, but you definitely know that's what they were going for.
Right.
License or no license, you still knew what they were trying to give us.
Uh, there's one thing I think. Night of the Creeps came out before Monster Squad. I'm pretty sure, but
1986.
I guess they must have wrote this movie before that movie came out because you remember, which I think we've mentioned it before on the podcast, where they're in the bathroom in Night of the Creeps, and on the bathroom stall it's written "Monster Squad rules" in the background. So I don't know if maybe this Fred Decker and Shane Black, maybe growing up they had an actual Monster Squad or something that they actually adapted into a movie.
um, I kind of wish Tessa could have found her book that I got her a couple years ago. That is about the Monster Squad. There,
Oh yeah,
the Monster Squad Werewolf Got Nard book or something. I can't remember what it's called.
I'll have to find it, Dustin, and when I do, I'll like send a picture of it. But yeah, it was something that Paul had gotten me as I think
A
a
gift,
birthday present. I think.
some type of gift. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my birthday presents. But anyways, yeah, it's a pretty neat book. I'll have to find it, but it has to do with the Monster Squad and talking about like
I want to say it was like basically the making of it, like
yeah, the
everything that kind of
making
went into it.
yeah, the making of it, all the makeup and everything.
oh, that's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those type of rare books, I guess, where it was like, well, we might as well try to get our hands on it now because who knows how much it's gonna be like down the road.
Right. I used to see books like that all the time, and I would never get them. And now,
No, you're just like, damn it.
I would out like we had a Hastings, and I would see those kind of books at Hastings all the time. And now we don't have a Hastings, and I never see that stuff out in the wild anymore.
Yeah, it's really not, and it's because once 10 years goes by for whatever book that you were hoping to see out in the wild, it basically vanishes. Is what happens. So basically, they say a book has a shelf life of like 10 years before you basically don't see it again until uh, there's maybe enough demand for a reprint, but most of the time there really is not. Yeah. So I guess that's it. That's that.
So
Um,
before we go, a few years ago they were supposed to remake Monster Squad, and then I guess it just went into development hell and never came out. If they were to come out with a Monster Squad remake, uh, would there be anything you guys would change? Would you go a more serious tone, darker tone? Would you make it more kid friendly? Certainly not going to be dropping any f bombs in a PG version of this. Or
I'd like to see it modernized. To be honest, I'd like to actually maybe see. Let's see, maybe like their generation, maybe like the original kid left something behind for the future, whoever, for the next 100 years. To hope that there's not like some sort of, I don't know, monster outbreak again for some weird
Loophole.
reason.
right?
That's a good question though. Like I don't know. I wouldn't know what I want.
Would y'all keep it like the same tone, or would y'all
Unfortunately,
maybe
unfortunately for me, we would, because of it being a remake, we have to change something, right? So,
right?
uh, maybe instead of like a virgin girl, maybe like a virgin boy or something. That would be kind of funny.
Or maybe see what it would look like with a more serious tone. I mean, I don't know. I like the classic, you know, cheesy comedy, you know, the
Yeah, like
cheesiness of it.
we all grew up with this movie, but we all grew up, so maybe the movie should grow up with us if
Yeah,
they if
maybe
they were to go to
see like
reboot it.
more of a serious tone.
Yeah, and that's why I said a modernized take of it. I would say that's what I would like to see,
Yep.
as long as it's done right. Definitely not like Rob Zombie's The Monsters.
Oh no.
I can't wait.
You can't wait.
Can't wait for it.
Yes, the Monster Squad celebrating the artists behind cinema's most memorable creatures. Yes, that book.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, Dustin. There's like I'll delete this part real quick, but if you go down on the screen, there's like a section called chat, and it's like a little chat room. I sent like 2 links there.
Okay, yeah, I got them.
But anyway, that's the book that we were talking about. Yeah, so I guess we'll just wrap it up then.
Yeah, I guess that's the Monster Squad, and it's a classic and still holds up to this day, as far as we're concerned.
And if you have any friends that have not seen this movie, you tie them down, throw them into a chair, and put like the the some like stuff in I don't God, I don't even know what to call it, but just keep their eyes open, peeled to the screen.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange them.
Yeah, exactly. Clockwork Orange. Then, yeah, that's a great way to say it. Yeah, so I would suggest that. And if for some reason you have seen this and you don't like this, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or you have seen this and you don't like it, what the fuck is wrong with you? There we go.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, Justin, it was a pleasure, and thank you for hosting. And well, babe, it was nice to rewatch this 35 years later.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, I guess without further ado, my name is Paul Dolsku, and I was joined with.
Tessa Baker.
And Dustin Walker.
And
And
we
we
want you
want
all
you to stay scary.
scary.